Hello, and welcome to What's Your Story? We have another interesting guest for you today. She is the CEO of Mind Body Counseling and Coaching. She's an international speaker, a licensed counselor, a yoga teacher, a self image coach, and a best selling author. Her global coaching program, called The Image Shift, helps professional women with in order to end any self-doubt and unworthiness and shift into a powerful, positive self-image and consciously create the life they love. And she uses a unique practice called intensity to amplify your energy and activate a positive state. So help me welcome Dawn Gaden.
Hey, thank you.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
I'm great. So good to be here. Thank you.
Where are you today in the world?
I am in Brighton, Michigan.
Brighton, Michigan. Is it cold there?
It is very cold. No school today for the kiddos because it's in the negative 20 with wind chill.
Oh, wow. It is cold.
It's cold. Beautiful blue skies, lots of snow, and a lot of cold. But
Oh,
it's
my
good.
goodness. Okay. Well, I'm in Las Vegas. We have lots of sun.
Oh,
Don't hit me.
Yes.
So
I
tell us.
don't hate you. You're
Tell
supposed to
us
have sun in
about,
Vegas.
so tell us about you and about intensity.
Yes, a little bit about me and Intensati. It's a fabulous, unique practice. Being a counselor for almost 24 years now, and a yoga teacher, I always look for ways to not just help my clients, but also me to live my best life. And I discovered Intensati back in 2007 when I had my 4 boys running around under my feet, and I was working part-time in the evenings and home with my kids. And it was a practice I found on DVD, and I could do it at home, and it complemented my yoga practice. And then it evolved into a training. I was able to go to New York City in 2016 to be trained to be an Intensati leader. And now I bring it to Michigan to teach in classes, in my coaching practice. And so Intensati means mindful intention. It's a mind, body, spirit class. It is high energy. It is movement, mantras, meditation. If you could think about the blend of dance, yoga, and martial arts in one.
That sounds
And
wonderful.
oh, it's so fun. You do sweat. You don't have to sweat, but you have the opportunity to sweat and really move the body, high energy, low impact. And the trick is, the key to its success is moving the body while speaking powerful, positive words.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so it aligns, it helps people break through blocks. I find clients break through blocks. I had someone show up past weekend at an event. And as we were moving through the practice, and we do meditation with the practice, and she had discovered a dream that she had thought was gone away, buried deep in the subconscious. She said, this dream came back. This dream I want to make real. And so the practice really wakes us up from going through the motions of life and forgetting what we're here for. And it helps you to really wake up and live your life, create your life, not just be just going through the motions, the bystander of life.
It sounds like it would help with your self-image and self-esteem. Does it do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're so used to being in this story in our mind of negative, right? Negative self-talk, doubt, judgment. Am I good enough? What if I do it wrong? What if I fail? What if I should have? All that stuff. And in the practice, and we call it a practice because when you're in class, you're practicing the words. I'm strong enough. I'm brave. I am powerful. I am blessed. I am enough. Many people don't say that to themselves ever. I'm enough.
I know they don't.
Yes. And so when you're in a room full of other people shouting these words and you're like, yes, you feel the energy, and we're practicing. What does it feel like to say I'm strong enough? And then you're moving the body with, say, punches. So I'm strong enough. And like, oh, this is what feels like if I'm moving my body and I feel strong. And so we start to create that new image of who we are. I'm strong. I'm confident. I'm lovable. I'm exceptional. I'm brave. I'm creative.
So when we have this stronger self-image, does that help us with all the change that we're going through today?
Yes, of course, right? That's the quick answer. Because we tend to look outside for our validation, the things in life. Chaos in the world, then there's chaos in the mind, or unhappiness out there, then I'm unhappy. Oh, this is joyful. Okay, now I'm joyful. But what if we flipped it? What if we flipped it and decided from in here, this is where my joy comes from. This is where my happiness comes from. We create that foundation, that real strong foundation of love and acceptance. And this is who I am. This is how I show up. And then when those things out there feel funky and kind of throw us off, we come back to this foundation quicker. So we decide how to build, we decide what our foundation is and how to build our foundation. We can build it on self-doubt, lack of confidence, or we build it with confidence, a positive self-image, strength, creativity, intelligence, kindness, self-love. And then no matter what, we come from that place within us so that when things out there start to shake us up, we come back to here and go, no, I'm okay. I'm strong enough to get through this thing that's unpredictable or hard or frustrating, but I can come back to me and know that within me, I have the strength to make it through whatever that is.
So which comes first, the mindset or the action?
Oh, yes. I believe in what I've seen in my 24 years of working with clients and leading groups and workshops is mindset first, right? Like Viktor Frankl says, there's stimulus and response. And between stimulus and response is this space. And in that space lies your power. And so this is where the mind and the emotions kind of loop and link. And when we can be in this state of silence, we can hear our truth. And then from there, we take inspired action. I always say inspired action. We can take action all over the place. Doesn't always end up very well, depending on the action. So if we can pause in that stillness, know what we're thinking and feeling, and then take action from there, it changes our world. Just changes everything. And knowing that we don't have to rush, right? We can be in this pause. And that could be a 30-second pause. It can be a 10-second pause. But we tend to want to go fast and we have to react. And oh, but they called, I have to answer. Do you? You know, someone knocked, I have to answer. Do you? Can we pause a minute and go, what's for my best good? And then in there we get, I call them sometimes downloads. We get a download of, oh, I know what to say. I know how to act. I know how to respond. I didn't think of that before because we paused.
What if we're just in a really down place? We're really, really depressed, and we're not feeling good about who we are, and we just can't seem to get in that mindset. Would it help to go ahead and take an action of some sort?
It depends on the action, right? So I provide a lot of my videos, Intensati videos, on my YouTube channel for people who need to be fueled, right? And just sometimes when we're just like, I got to get out of this, hold on. How do I not want to curl up in a ball and hide under the blankets and wait for this thing to just pass? Where we can take some inspired action to, I want to say go through the motions, but go through the motions with this heart and intention to feel good. And so sort of practicing, like when we're feeling down, when I feel, for example, when I feel like, wow, things have been tough lately, I can't get out of this funk. If I throw out my meditation and throw out my journaling, I go deeper into the funk. If I stay with the tools that keep me going, just keep writing, Dawn, keep writing. I'm so happy and grateful now that keep sitting in your meditation that makes you feel so good. Even if in this moment, I feel like I'm just listening to the words, keep inputting the good, because that in itself is the action that's needed for that day. And I do a practice, and it's a practice that I've learned through yoga teachers and mentors, and it's an acronym. It's called RAIN. And it's really helpful to move through difficult emotions, because all the work that I do with clients, my own work, there's never a goal to get to where you're never feel bad again. It's just not humanly possible. We don't want to. We wouldn't know what good felt like if we didn't feel bad. We wouldn't know joy if we didn't have sorrow. Like, that's part of our human experience. The goal is not to get stuck in where we don't want to be. So when we use this practice called RAIN, it stands for RAIN, recognize. Recognize. If you feel yuck and depressed and sad, like, I just don't have the energy, okay, recognize it for a moment. Allow it. Be in that space. A is allow. Be in that space of just, I'm allowing myself to feel this. I don't have to be sucked in. I can be an observer of it, witnessing it. I is investigate. Where is it in my body? Stay connected to the body. We don't want to detach. That's when we move into anxiety and panic. So stay connected to the body. Do I feel a twinge in my shoulder? Okay, I feel a twinge in my shoulder. And N is nurture. We want to get to nurture. Okay, so if I move through these emotions and I get to nurture, what do I do? My favorite thing to tell people to do, which is so simple, you can do it anywhere, is just say to yourself, whisper, I love and accept myself. I love and accept myself. I love and accept myself. Even reaching your arms out, giving yourself a hug, and just hug. I love and accept myself. And sit in that a little bit for the nurture, and do that as many times as you need to, just to continue to move through. God, I just hug. I love and accept myself. I'm okay. I'm worthy. I'm good.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Feels real good. Now, what if I'm just one of those people that I just can't seem to get out of my negativity? Is there a way to rewire my brain to make me think differently so that I could be more positive?
Yeah. Yeah. So intensati is part of that practice. So I have a few really fun practices I teach people, and it all addresses that rewiring, which is intensati, the movement with mantras, meditation, creating a new story, and writing, writing, not typing, but writing. And there's another practice that involves tapping. It's called tapping, or EFT, tapping on pressure points, to rewire the brain and the body, calm the nervous system. So we have all these tools, right? But there's one very, very important tool: the willingness and the desire for something better. It's for something better. I had a client once who came to me because she was depressed. She had a lifelong history of depression. And I would give her the tools, and she would come back every week and say, but I'm depressed. I'm depressed. And I said, well, what if for one moment you decided to say, I'm happy. I'm joyful. I'm willing to see something that makes me smile. No, Dawn. No, I'm depressed. And I said, with all the love and kindness in my heart, I'm going to let you decide how to move forward from here. Because if you want to work with me, we can't have depression and joy at this same. We have to kind of pick the foundation. We're creating a foundation. Does it mean you'll never be sad or depressed again? No. But what foundation? Are you willing to choose joy? Well, I don't know. Okay. Then choose that for yourself. It's okay. But if we have to be willing to see ourselves, that self-image in a different light, what do I look like if I was happy? What would it look like when my feet hit the ground in the morning? I decided to be grateful for my day, not fear the day. Tiny little shifts like that create the change. And it's the repetition and the practice every day that 30 days down the road, 60, 90, you go, oh, I woke up this morning and noticed I was happy. And I didn't have this thought of, what if today sucks? It's working. But we have to be committed to say, I want this. I choose this. And that's like the magic.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But what happens? I'm really being the devil's advocate here. But what happens when a person wants to feel good and their life is just a mess? How do they feel good when the circumstances don't allow them to really get a handle on things going right? You know, it's like everything's going wrong, and how can they feel good?
Yeah. That's a really interesting question, right? Because oftentimes, through my experience in my work, when a client poses that question to me, what I tend to notice is there's so much attention on what's going wrong, we don't see what's going right. And that's not to invalidate the yuck, right? There's could be a lot of yuck going on, bad, negative, trauma, drama, like just things. But if we look at what's going right, where's my strength? It seems to clear a path to how to handle and take inspired action with these things that aren't going so well. And another, I mean, and then so we can, there's kind of, I'll put it in two scenarios, right? One scenario is just bills are behind and laid off from work and, some frustrations, serious, but frustrations, but solvable, right? Like we've got a team, we've got a family around us. If I can see what's right, it opens up doors to possibility. There's other scenarios where are a little bit more severe, where we're in an environment that's very toxic, very dangerous, even unhealthy. And we sometimes we get this idea that if I get healthy enough, these people will change and my environment will become beautiful. And what we have to remember is what we'll do is we'll get healthy enough and love ourselves enough to know it's time to leave. And so there's some scenarios where we get to look at ourselves in the mirror, take care of ourselves, build that foundation, and know now it's time for me to leave a situation. And that situation can be different for so many people. But those are two different scenarios where I have an impact. And if I see it differently, I can impact the environment. And if I see differently, I know I have to leave the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't we find very often that people, especially battered women, let's say, will stay in a real uncomfortable situation because it's more familiar to them than the unknown?
Yes. It's all they know, right? It's the image, the self-image. And there's some, we have to do the work on what is this image I see of myself that allows me to stay and not be taken care of very well. We have to be willing to see that because it becomes so familiar, it's predictable that, okay, we can handle this because that over there, I don't know what that is.
Mm.
I don't have any experience. That's scarier because I don't know what that is. And so knowing there's resources, right, to get you to know a little bit, practice this, practice what it feels like to have confidence, practice what it feels like to be in a loving environment. Oh, it starts to feel familiar. And then we start to build our strength and connect with resources to help us get to where we want to go.
Speaking of resources, I heard you mention Dr. Viktor Frankl. A lot of our viewers may not be familiar with who Dr. Frankl is. Would you tell them about him and his book?
Yes, his book, Man's Search for Meaning. He was a psychologist in the concentration camps, and he wrote. As I recall the story, his family was taken away. They were put to death. They took everything. His book is pretty explicit about his experience, and he came to a point where he realized that they can take everything. They can take my wedding ring, they can take my wife, my child, everything, my manuscripts. One thing they can't take is my thoughts, my beliefs, my will to live. And it's, wow, if we can just own that nobody else, I get to choose this. I could choose how I think, how I feel, what thoughts to hold on to, what thoughts to let go of, like powerful. That can change our life, changed his.
Yes, I love the word choice because so many times people don't realize that they have a choice. They feel like I'm stuck here. I don't have a choice. I don't know which way to go. And I was really glad to hear you mention journaling because I journal, have for 50 years. But journaling is one of those places where you can write down all the things you've ever done and look at yourself and say, hey, I'm pretty neat. Yeah, I'm a pretty good person. Or you might write down all the things you want to do, or you might write down all of your assets or your strengths, or there's a lot of things that they can do. When you journal, what do you write in your journal?
Yes. Yes. I'll let you know. Yes, for sure. So I done some practices. If there's a beginning journaler, I've done some practices on dumping the junk. I'll tell you about that a bit. Clear the
Oh, I
space.
like that.
Yeah. And then write the affirmations. I'm so happy and grateful now that I love and accept myself, now that I create a business that helps and serves so many people. And so being in communities too that support the journaling and focusing on where you want to go helps you to clarify your goals and what you're writing. And sometimes it's writing, I'm so happy and grateful I woke up this morning and I'm taking a deep breath in and I'm making good choices for myself and my family. And so oftentimes what I find is that's a challenge for people to write until they let go of the junk. And
Yeah.
so, right, I picture it like a garden, right? Like if you want to create a garden and you have this space, it's either full of grass or full of weeds. And if you go to plant, whether you're planting flowers or vegetables, those roots can't take hold because the weeds are sucking up all the nutrition. There's nothing to take hold. So we have to weed the garden. And so dumping the junk is like weeding the garden. And I have my clients write all the junk, uncensored. No one sees it. It's just a dump. And
You write it
afterwards,
all, you write all that stuff down, all that icky stuff.
all the icky stuff, nobody's going to see it. Uncensored, uncensored. And you write and you write, and not typing, but writing. It's a psychomotor activity that connects the brain and allows the repatterning of the brain. And so you write it. And then at the end, I make sure we write, I am letting this go. And then we rip it up, we shred it, we burn it. That intentional action to let it go is another, you'll feel it. You feel it. And it's like this release and this like, and we start to now let the good in. So writing is so powerful.
Oh, I really love journaling. I think it's been
Mhm.
a major practice in my life that's made a big, big difference. Um,
Sure.
One of the other things I do, and I'm sure you probably do something similar, in my journal, when I do something good for the day, I stick a gold star on that day, so that when I look at it, I've actually anchored in my self-esteem there. Uh,
That's so key. Anchoring in, right? Anchor it in, solidify it, keep building that foundation. Celebrate yourself.
Yeah. And I think people don't realize the physical act of sticking that gold star in that book makes me so happy. It's just like, yeah, you know. There was a man
Mhm.
sitting next to me on the airplane one day, and I was filling out my book as I was sitting on the plane going home, and he saw me sticking gold stars on my pages, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sticking gold stars on my pages because I have a good day." And he's like, "Do you do that every day?" I said, "Yeah, here, some gold stars. Help yourself. Put them in
Try
your book." And he was like, "I don't have a book. I have a Palm Pilot." I'm like, "Well, figure out some way to reward yourself."
in some way. Yeah.
Because,
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, I know sometimes people want to shortcut it, right? I'll have clients at first that are resistant to writing. I'll type, Dawn, or I'm just going to let it play in my mind. I said, okay, let's see how long we do that for. And let me know when you're ready to write. And like always, they say the report is it's not working. I still feel frustrated. How are you writing? Well, I'm typing it, or texting it, or
Well,
thinking. I'm just thinking it through.
there's science that
Mm.
proves that cursive writing has a direct correlation with the subconscious mind. And so if they'll write it down, it'll
Mhm.
go into their brain better. You can't type it out. No, I
It
totally
doesn't
agree with you.
connect. It doesn't connect. I had a client that was singing for quite a while, and she said, "I'm not gonna write, Dawn." I said, "Okay, we'll do our best. I'm not gonna say don't, but we'll do our best. I'm gonna meet you where you're at." And almost every time I said, "Will you try writing that?" "Well, we'll see." "No, I'm not gonna write it, Dawn." And then she came to our session one day, and she had this big smile, and I'm like, "Oh, you wrote." She goes, I wrote." "Wow." I said, "I know. That's why I keep teaching it because it's always a wow." It works.
Yeah.
100%. When you
It
write,
scares me that they're not teaching cursive writing in school anymore.
I know.
It really
Yes.
bothers me.
So parents, teach your kids cursive writing. You can
Yeah,
do
it's
that. It's
important.
helpful. Yeah.
It's so important. So there's a big summit coming up for women. It's called Women Thrive. It's happening in March 18th to 23rd, and
Mhm.
you are one of the featured speakers. What will
Yes.
you be speaking about there?
I will be speaking on self-image. Uncover your worthiness, tap into your worthiness, and create a powerful, positive self-image. And
Oh,
I'm
that sounds wonderful.
going to
That
give you
sounds,
the tools. Yes, you're going to be able to walk away with tools on how to start creating that, uncovering, weed the garden, and start implanting messages and information and pathways to that positive, powerful, positive self-image.
yes, and there's a link right there if anybody wants to go and listen to Dawn speak, or me. I'm going to be there too. It's going to be a wonderful event. I'm so looking forward to it, and I'm just so impressed with all the women that are on the program. You know, there's what, 50?
I
50
think so.
women? Yeah,
Phenomenal.
it's about a 4 or 5 day program, and it's something that I wouldn't miss if I were a woman out there thinking about that I need some more self-esteem, or I need to make some changes in my life, or I want to have more worthiness, or I want to learn how to deal with my children or my husband or my relationships. It's
Mhm.
definitely a summit that I think we should all be a part of.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree. It's going to be so exciting. So
Yes.
exciting.
And Dawn, how do people get in touch with you if they would like to follow up with you more and learn more about you and what you do?
Yes, absolutely. I'm on most of the social media platforms, Dawn Gaden, super simple. And my website has everything you need, which is dawngaden.com. And that will
Well,
link you
that's
to all my
easy. They
programs.
should be able to do that, huh? And we'll put that up as well so that they'll be able to, well, your name's right there. They can see it, right? DawnGaden.com.
Yeah.
So that will definitely work. I really, really want to thank you for being here with me today. It's been a great interview. Of course, I believe in everything that you do. I'm just like, yay, she's so wonderful. So thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. You too. I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it. And if you have a story that you'd like to share, please contact me, Judy at judymorio.com.